Hi guys, it's Nathan here from Headbangers. Today we've got Tom from Guilt Trip. Now, if you haven't heard of Guilt Trip, they're a hardcore band from Manchester. They've just released their new album Severance. It's available on all streaming platforms, so we'd recommend that you listen to that because it's fucking unbelievable. Tom's a really nice guy as well. This one was a really fun episode to film. We talk about everything from the Manchester scene up and from when he was coming into it to now. We also talk about just a lot about hardcore in general. And a lot about the new album as well. So yeah, without any further ado, here's the episode. If you do like the podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe. We also do have a Patreon, so if you want us to donate there and help us out another way, that's fine. But if you want to watch for free, that's also fine. Don't forget to follow us on social media as well. Everywhere it's Headbangers Podcast, except for Twitter where it's Headbangers Pod1. But without further ado, here's the episode. Headbangers. Welcome back to the Headbangers Podcast, where your hosts Nathan and Brad. Here today we're joined by Tom from Guilt Trip. How are you doing, man? Start off with.
Sound, yeah. How are you guys? You all right?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Very good, very good.
Good stuff,
So
good stuff.
we'd like to start off with a little icebreaker. What's your funniest gig or tour story that you can share with us?
Fucking hell. Oh, mate.
Give us the juicy stuff.
Funniest. Good question, man. I can't think of the funniest. Probably the most eventful being time in Prague last year. I'm trying to think of the funniest, man. I can only think of the most eventful.
Eventful's good as well.
Right, yeah, fuck it. I'll do that one. So in Prague last year, stayed at this hotel just on the outskirts of the city, right? First things first, seen basically like what we thought was like a murder scene. So this dude comes into the hotel behind us. I noticed his car, right, had like these handprints on the window. Thought nothing of it. Thought, that's a bit weird. You know what I mean? Like, clearly wasn't his handprints, dead small, and that wasn't his fucking hand. So yeah, next minute, looked at this dude. He comes in the hotel, thinking this guy's a bit fucking odd, man. You know what I mean? Thought there's something really weird about him. Anyway, cut the story short. Wake up the next morning. There's like 20 police officers in the 2 rooms down from us, which is where he was staying. All like plain clothes, all that sort of stuff. Like clearly something to do with like a murder. Went outside, his car was gone, etc. Asked the police officers what was going on. They were like, "Oh, don't speak to us," basically, all that sort of stuff. So it was like all night. I mean, I could go on about it for hours, but we basically had to board the fucking door up with the wardrobe, all that sort of stuff, because it was one of them hotels where you're like, yeah, something freaky's going on here. Don't feel safe at all. But if the funny story comes to me, I'll say that.
I mean, that's much more like juicy.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not gonna every 2 seconds.
Yeah, I've cut it short, man. Like I could tell you the whole story, but we probably end up having a 3 hour long podcast here. So it's
turns into a true crime podcast instead.
Pretty much, bro. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot more that went on that night, but the main thing was that this dude come in with these fucking backpacks, like 3 bags. Like looked dead, like scratches all over his face and shit, like scars and stuff. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? And then next morning, yeah, it's just like 20 unmarked officers just in that room, like just acting all weird. And I thought, that's fucked. So
he did it.
That's what I think of. What's that?
Did he do it then?
Oh, fuck knows. I tried Googling it for weeks after, like the area and Prague crime and shit like that. But yeah, couldn't find anything, so I've no idea what actually happened. But when you just get that gut feeling that something's gone wrong, it was pretty much that. Yeah, pretty much that. But yeah, if I think of a funny one, that'll come. We're not like, I don't know. I can't really think of anything that hilarious that's happened. Just the first thing that springs to mind when anyone says like stories from tour, that's just the first one. So yeah, fuck it. It's have to be that for now.
No, it must be something about Prague, to be fair. Because, like,
I mean, go on. What are we going to say, bro?
I think you're breaking up a bit, Neff.
Yeah, he's gone, man. He's frozen.
He's gone us, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It could be something to do with Prague. Did you freeze there, bro?
Oh yeah, mate. My Wi-Fi fucking dropped.
What were you going to say then? What did you say?
It must be something about Prague because like my mate from work just got back from Prague and he just told us like a really like kind of similar story, but he was saying
Yeah.
that he was 90% convinced he saw some dude die in Prague because he was getting chased
Oh,
by like, four blokes, no
real.
idea what the backstory was, and the
Yeah.
guy just leaped down these fucking stairs to get away
Yeah.
from him,
Yeah.
and he
So,
was like, the fuck,
they're
like,
clearly dead.
just caught
Like,
back end of it.
yeah, innit?
Yeah, just caught
Like,
back end of it, and like, I don't
yeah.
want what the fuck happened there. Like,
I mean, to be fair, every time we're in Czech Republic, like, it's just there's something that happens which we're like, fuck, this is clearly like a dangerous situation. You know what I mean? Every time we've been there, or any time we go East Germany or something, so something happens where we're like, just keep your wits about it. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
yeah, that one was just like next level, fucking next level. If you see you guys in person, I'll tell you the proper story, like the full.
Yeah, I'm invested now, man. I want to see a full
Yeah,
Netflix piece on this.
there was a lot that went on, man. I said this as well a few days later. I was like, you could literally write a fucking story of what we saw that night, like a film, fucking full script. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, you imagine it on Netflix, just be like everything was fine
maybe
till it
one day.
wasn't. Black screen comes on, you know.
Yeah, literally, bro. Literally, yeah,
I
literally.
I wanted to sort of jump into like the new album then, just because like obviously it's out, it's fucking sick.
Yeah, yeah, nice
One
one.
thing I wanted to like ask you on it was like, there's like a lot more elements in there. I feel like you've really hit your stride with it. What's like the main difference between like writing the older stuff to compared to the new stuff that's just come out?
Um, yeah, we were a lot more focused this time around. Sort of knew exactly what we wanted, if you know what I mean. Like into River Lies, we sort of loads of lineup changes. I just joined the band, and we sort of had to not rush it, but just sort of get it out. I think Jack and Jay and Brad had some tunes, and already had a record before that that they scrapped because they didn't feel it was good enough. So we were pretty much rushing. And yeah, with River Lies, we sort of like didn't really have a set style we wanted to write or anything, and had no idea how we wanted it to go or how many tracks or anything like that. We just sort of threw things together, and it happened really quickly. I think we wrote the whole album in about a month and a half. Went and recorded it, and then we had like two tracks that we scrapped off it that have never been heard. I think then we wrote Deceit, and I believe I might be wrong with this, but I think it was Blood or Thin Ice. Thin Ice being the biggest track, which is fucking hilarious because we rushed it so much. It must have been like two writing sessions, and that was done. Either we just put it together dead quick, and it's really ironic how that ended up being our biggest tune.
It's
But
a banger as well, to be fair. It's impressive
yeah,
that
I
you did that
mean,
in 2 days.
it grew. It grew. I mean, we all loved it at the time, but we never thought it was a single. I think Jay, the vocalist, was the only guy who thought, yeah, this is the one. He pushed for it to be the single. And yeah, it worked out fucking amazing. It didn't really hit until like a year after. And then it started sort of shooting up really quick. But yeah, I don't know whether it was a fluke or what, but we got pretty lucky with that record. Considering looking back on it now, none of us were proud of it, but it's nothing that I'd write again. Nothing that any of us would write again. You know, we know that it's not us at all.
Hmm.
Too many beatdowns, etc. And yeah, it's just something we wouldn't really look at writing again. In terms of Rain City, sort of a similar situation. We were all in lockdown and stuff, couldn't meet up to write, and just sort of sending demos back and forth, trying to put things together here and there, riffs and stuff. Had a we had an idea of what we wanted. We wanted 5 or 6 tracks, quick EP, sort of knew what style we were going for. And it was originally meant as a concept EP. So it was meant around like a storyline, etc., which we never explained when we released it. So I think a lot of people didn't understand what it was because with it being so different to our other tunes in the past and other records, right? We sort of wanted to address that as a saying like, yo, it's a concept EP, but we never really did. We sort of forgot to do that. So when people say it's like so much different to your older shit, it's hard for them to understand what we had in our heads at the time. So that was a bit of a weird one. But this time it was just like we knew exactly what we wanted from the get-go, man. And it wasn't easy to write this one. This is the issue. It was much harder because we were pushing ourselves to get the best out of ourselves and we knew exactly what we wanted. It made it so much fucking harder to do. But and yeah, we wrote it over about about 9 months, 9, 10 months or something like that. But yeah, in terms of writing processes, we have Sam in the band now, the second guitarist, who's been a big help on writing because we all sort of chip in here and there. We share it 25, 25, 25, 25. So yeah, it's been a lot better, but a lot harder. But yeah, we're all really happy with how it's come out. So it's exactly what we wanted. Like we kind of fluked that in a way as well. We put it all together when it was done. We were like, shit, this all works really well together. We didn't expect it at all. Like we just sort of had these tunes, didn't know where we were going to order them. We were like, shit, is this even going to work? Like, and then it ended up just doing really well. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this has gone, and I think we're well ready for the next one now as well because we know exactly what we want from that one. So yeah, it's a lot better these days, but yeah, dead easy to understand what we want, I think.
I think as well,
Oh
like
yeah.
Severance is like, so I would say it's probably like your most ambitious release. You can see, like you said, the care that's gone into making it. Like when you're playing around with these like new turns, because a lot of like songs on the album that I thought are like very new for you guys to play
Yeah,
around with, and like, but it still sounds like Guilt Trip, it's still like that
of course.
formula. So like when you were thinking about how it wanted to sound, like what went into that process of it?
I mean, it's gonna sound funny, but straight away we just wanted to sound basically like the Blackening Machine Head. Like we just
I
basically,
fucking said this. I said this to Nathan
yeah,
before he
yeah.
came. I
It
was like, I
was
can
it
see
was
so many
like
Machine Head influences. And I don't know if it was intentional, but it's sick to hear
it
those
was, man. Yeah,
sounds.
the whole record was Machine Head influenced everything from start to finish. I mean, a lot of the riffs you hear are really like Blackening esque, and then you've got a few sort of like Burn My Eyes sort of riffs, and then a few like mid Machine Head sort of supercharger riffs, like the new metal ones. So we just sort of put all that, and it's the harmonics, man, isn't it? Like how many
Yeah, yeah.
bands have used harmonics that much? Like,
But
I
mixing
mean,
that with hardcore though, it just sounds amazing.
yeah, yeah. It's like we even counted them, man. I think we've done like I think Jack said 296 in the record, which is just stupid. Like I don't see how this worked, but it did. Um, but yeah, in other terms, I mean, we just we were just ready. You know what I mean? We
Mm.
knew exactly what we wanted to sound like and what we've heard all the fans say what they wanted to hear from us and what they missed out of like Unrelating Force days and stuff, like bringing back all the fast sort of thrashy riffs. And like even when you listen to River Lies, if we'd have just sped it up by 10, 20 BPM throughout the whole record, I think people would have understood it more, but we just weren't thinking about it at the time. So we just sped everything up, made sure that it was like the energy was there more than the last releases. And yeah, just put a few different random, pulled a few different random things. Like some of the choruses are very Linkin Parkish, you know what I
Mm.
mean, with the clean vocals. And then like there's a track 10, Hell Will Replace the Rain. That first part, it's literally like a rip of it's so crowbar. And then there's a
Oh
bit.
yeah.
Have you heard of a band called ISIS? You've heard of
Yeah,
ISIS?
yeah,
You know that
I have
song
not heard
False?
of ISIS.
Yeah, so there's a song called False Light, and it's
yeah.
like it's like dead sludgy sort of. That's just a complete rip off of that, pretty much. So it's like a
Got some
load.
Locust vibes from that song as well. Like, like the
Yeah,
starting bit, the sound of quiet guitars and stuff remind me a
yeah,
bit of
yeah,
Locust.
yeah. Similar with Reaching Paradise, track 5 as well. That was what we were going for with that actually, with the tone especially. But yeah, we just pulled a load of different influence from because we're all into different shit as well, man. Like we all sort of like give each other shit for our music taste sometimes. Like I'm heavily into Gajera, and the
Oh
other
yeah.
lads aren't really as much into him, so I get shit for that. And then, but like all our favorite bands we share, like Creed, Machine Head, Creed first, obviously. And then like we're all massive like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains fans and stuff. So a lot of that got put in as well. We have to just write what we like. We don't really think about what anyone's gonna think of it. We just like if we want all these clean vocals, then we're gonna do them. So yeah, it's quite a lot of different influence really.
Oh yeah. It's mad that you mentioned the Machine Head because me and Brad were like, I'm not even, like 5 seconds before you joined. We were
Yeah,
like talking about going. I was like, because like I think I listened to it twice today
yeah,
just to get like up for like the interview like and just like really refresh my mind on it.
yeah.
And like Brad had listened to it today as we were chatting back and forth on Messenger, and it's literally like Brad was like, I'm getting major Machine Head vibes.
Yeah.
I was there like I was like, yeah, I'm getting them too, but I don't know if that was an influence for him. And as soon as you said that's when I knew Brad would lose his shit. Like,
Yeah. We tried to put the Easter eggs in the videos, like at least like the two. Well, yeah, I suppose it's two since the album was announced. Like either one of us is wearing a Machine Head shirt somewhere. So we tried to put that little Easter egg in, saying like this is what we're going for, and then we did the alternate cover for the vinyl on Friday, the Burn My Eyes one. So that was
oh
just
yeah,
like
I saw that.
just straight up saying, yeah, this is exactly what the fuck we were going for. Like, if anyone didn't know already, then yeah, this is it. So, but it's always nice to hear that as well. Like, it's nice to see the comments like, "Oh, really, Machine Head," etc. So it's we're glad that people are seeing what we're going for as well.
But as well, like, you've got like I said, you do have some like grunge influence in there as well. Like there's a lot going on, which on paper sounds like it shouldn't work, but it does, and you've
Yeah,
done it like
yeah,
perfectly.
yeah. Someone said to me last week, Dusk, the last track on the album, he was like, I mean, I'm hearing fucking riff, and the next minute it sounds like fucking Opeth, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I never thought that. Like, I never thought Opeth was one that we get compared to, but I suppose with the swingy bit, I thought, yeah, it's kind of folky. And a lot of like reviews have said it's like a folk rock track, which we didn't really like anticipate either. So
Might be like a subconscious thing, like
yeah,
if you influenced by certain bands, maybe it's just what comes to your head when you play.
yeah, that's true.
Interesting.
That's true. And to be fair, at the time, I was listening to quite a bit of Opeth actually, especially Harvest, which is the song that I've heard. It sounds like the dun, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
all sort of thing. So yeah, I get it, but it's I'm glad people are seeing the where we're getting the influence from anyway. It's good.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's mad though because like you subconscious. I think you're always subconsciously like whatever you listen to at that moment,
Yeah,
whatever you write is gonna kind of like follow that
100%.
vibe.
Yeah,
Like I remember like a few years back, me and my mate were just fucking about like writing stuff, and he'd like had this intro, and I was sat there, and I'm not for fucking ages. I always would listen to it and go, what does that fucking riff sound like? And like I think like 3 years later, I listened to a Nirvana song like Nevermind. I listened
yeah,
to Nevermind, and now like the fucking intro riff with Nevermind. I
yeah,
messaged him. I messaged him going, mate, remember that track that we like just were fucking about with like
yeah.
3 years ago? He goes, yeah. I was like, fucking intros, Nevermind. He
It
goes,
happens,
oh
man.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it fucking happens. We've done it a few times now, and we've written riffs, and we're like the sickest shit ever. You know what I mean? We're fucking having that, and then we get so far with it, put it in a tune, and then we hear it, and we're like, oh fuck, man. I
No.
mean, sometimes it's fine, you can get away with it. Um, but yeah, I mean, sometimes the bands are too recent, and like with Nirvana, bro, fuck it. Like if
Oh
it's like
yeah.
anything that older than 2000s, even in the 2000s now, that's pretty sound. Like I hear a bit of Bullet in this record. You know what I mean? And I'm fucking proud of that. Like I'd love to be compared to Bullet. So it's
Yeah, it's
yeah,
quite a compliment.
yeah, I do hear a bit of that in there because we were listening to Bullet quite often before we started writing. Like we played Hellfest last year, and I remember literally like the car ride there, we were just listening to Bullet the whole way, and back as well, Scream, Aim, Fire, and The Poison. So I think a lot of that's been put in there too.
Absolutely, man. I want to talk about like the Manchester hardcore scene, and because I mean I think like Manchester overall, like for cities in the UK, has like probably it's like the mecca of the best metal and best hardcore and shit. So how would you rate the scene there compared to like other cities around the world?
Um, I mean, when I was growing up in it, it was the best in the world. That's my opinion, straight up. When I started going to gigs in like 2012, 13, I just remember the first proper hardcore show I went to. Like, I'd been to metalcore shows, I'd seen hardcore bands, but like, the first hardcore show you go to was Rotting Out, Broken Teeth, Survival at Garter, best venue in the fucking world. Just putting that in there. Yeah, I went to that, and I like I thought this is the sickest shit ever, and it was like I'd never seen videos like it really. Like I'd seen loads of like sort of sick shows online in America, but I saw this and I thought this tiny little venue so narrow and people still doing the same shit. Like we're fucking lucky to have this, you know what I mean? So yeah, when I was growing up in it, I honestly think it was one of the best scenes going anywhere. There was so many people going to shows, and it had a huge scene for a bit. But over the years, it's just sort of died down in Manchester. I mean, currently, it's I won't call it dead, but I wouldn't call it living either. Personally, I just don't think there's anything going on. There's no venues anymore. I mean, there's only Star and Garter, which is obviously the best one, but you can only go so far with putting shows on there. You can't really grow, you know.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
What about Rebellion?
yeah, true. Rebellion's a good one, but it's still like there's no in between of them. You know,
Yeah.
like Star and Garter's 150, then Rebellion's 450. There's no like 250 caps anymore. We used to have Sound Control, which had three
Yeah,
fucking.
Sound Control was sick.
Yeah, you could put like so many different types of shows on there, and like you just be like, oh well, I use a small room downstairs if it's a small gig, and then the one upstairs if it's bigger. And I just think that there was no one really pushing it after, and people who were into it sort of grew up and just, you know what I mean, faded away from it and sort of got into life and thought, oh, it was a bit of a phase because there was so many heads you used to see that you don't see anymore. But yeah, these days, man, I mean, there's not many bands that I see coming from Manny. Obviously, you've got the ones we've always had. We've always had Ingested. We've obviously always had Broken Teeth, which aren't a band anymore. But so back in the day, there was so many that were coming around. But yeah, these days, man, I'm not too sure what's going on with the Manchester hardcore scene. But I mean, there's a couple of bands obviously going off and stuff. They're doing what they're doing and keeping shows going and shit. But there's no other bands coming from that. Like, there's no kids going there and thinking, "Oh fuck, let's start a band." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See him popping up anymore like you're doing Leeds or Sheffield or London. Like Brighton's got a 16 these days as well. Loads of young kids are just starting bands for the fun of it. But yeah, 10 years ago, best scene in the world. That's my opinion. But I mean, currently in the UK, I just think probably Leeds is still holding the crown because that's always been like the last 10 years. Leeds has just been on fire.
Looks like
Like,
that.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Leeds.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I fucking love it there, man. It's cracking. I lived there for a couple of years. Unfortunately, during fucking COVID, which was shit, because I moved there for like, mates and like fucking shows and shit. And then fortunately everything got locked down. But yeah, Leeds is just like I love going to Boom. No matter
Yeah,
what it
Boom
is.
is the best. Yeah.
It's not even
I
like
fucking love that place.
I'll go without even knowing if there's a band on. If there was just like a karaoke fucking night, it's just the sickest place. Like it just feels like a second home. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, like it's my favorite venue. Like
Same here.
I'm there like almost every other week. Like
yeah,
same if there's not even like a band on. I'll be
yeah.
like, I just fancy going. Like, but yeah, I think Boom for me when I first started getting to hardcore, great that we had Boom. Like,
Oh, yeah.
because it was
Thank God for Boom, man. Honestly,
oh yeah. Like I remember when lockdown hit, I was so fucking scared.
yeah.
Like about like if I was like if Boom closes down, like Leeds is the scene's just taking a massive hit because
Well,
that place
there
is
was a
just
lot of worry about it, wasn't there, at the time? Because they were going to
oh,
get empty, weren't they, or something?
yeah, like that. Honestly, like Lecky and everyone that runs the show, they're fucking
They're
like
all they're
they're
fucking dudes, man. Yeah.
yeah, like really fucking good
They
blokes.
just care about. They're not asked about the money. Like it's all about keeping shit fucking living, and it shows, mate. You know what I mean? Like every
Yeah,
gig that you can go to there, no matter who it is, it's a fucking tiny little punk band, or it's like. I mean, the last big show I went there was probably Tsunami and No Pressure.
So you were there,
that was
Nathan, weren't
fucking
you?
that was all
Yeah,
right show.
3 months ago now. It's a long time ago when you think about it. Shit.
I tell you
But
what, that show was fucking hilarious. I
it was
remember
sick.
my mate went into the tsunami pit. I'm not. As soon as he went in, he got kicked in the face. Turned around, looked at me, and went, "Mate, that's a different pit." That.
Well, that's what I mean, man. It's like you can, and same goes for both rooms as well. You can have anyone playing in there, and it'll just be packed out.
Yeah.
No matter who it is, it'll just be fucking full every time. And the headline show we did there last April was one of the best shows I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it. None of us could. It was like one of them boom shows where the fucking sweat is dripping off the ceiling. Like you touch the wall and it's just like the paint's coming off. You know what I mean? One of them.
Good
So
vibes though, you know what I mean? Like I feel like everybody that goes to Boom, like everyone's there to have a good time and everyone like puts the passion into the bands. Like there's no one there just standing around. Like everyone's there to, give passion to the bands that they love. Like I love it. It's such good vibes, man.
Yeah, and like you say, it's with Lecky and all that as well. They support everyone and they give everyone a chance. And it's like there's no cuts on merch and all that sort of shit. And they'll always make sure that bands get a decent set. And yeah, and just on top of that, the rooms are sick. You know what I mean? Like all of them sound good, and they're just the perfect venues for hardcore and punk shows, man. Especially that Boom 2. Oh, but Meat Locker was a fucking good one as well.
So, mate, when I first got into hardcore, because I got into it like middle of like 2019.
Yeah.
So like I kind of fell out of like because I used to just only listen to metal, kind of fell out with it, and then like hardcore scratched just an itch that I didn't even know I had, and like started going to shows. I remember the last ever Meat Locker show, were the first ever Meat Locker show I'd ever been to. Right. It were Scorned, won it. That were playing that last.
Who else played?
Scorned, Greed. I know Greed played.
Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, fucking hell, I remember that gig. Scorned, Greed. Fuck, who else played? But I was there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, there were definitely three bands, but I can only remember Scorned and Greed. I can't remember who the third band was.
Oh shit, man. Yeah, I definitely were there though. Sure, I was. Good show. I remember it being a good show.
Really fucking good show. Yeah. I twatted the fuck out of my arm on that massive metal pole.
I remember.
I absolutely fucking pelted it. I think I sprained it.
It was sick in Meat Locker because they had this like another like a pipe on the top. So you'd like, I mean, I don't fucking mosh anymore. Well, I try not to. I mean, if I do, if like it happens, you know what I mean. But I used to be a bit, yeah, I used to go too hard. And there was this fucking pipe on the top right if you're standing looking at the stage. And if there's enough people on the side, you could just walk along the whole on people's heads right to the back of the venue, holding on to this pipe. That's the one thing I remember about it, like the most. It was fucking mega. But yeah, it's a shame that's not a venue anymore, man.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the shows you could put on in there.
But like I say, though, Boom 2 is sick. You know what I mean? That second room now. So there was a fest in 2018, I think. Savfest. And I don't know if you know a band called, do you remember Below? They were
Rings a bell. I don't think I've seen them though.
So it was a survival sort of like metal band. Survival, like a Manchester straight edge band, and they did like a metal sort of beat down sort of thing, and they were just the sickest band. They played like a reunion set there, and it was the fucking craziest shit I've ever seen. You know, like it's just one of them shows where everyone gets pushed back, like squished to the back of the room. Straight away, the first note hits, and I think that was one of the first shows that was in Boom 2. And I was like, yeah, this is the venue, this is the room that we want to keep going for the rest of like fucking days, man. This is sick. But yeah, to wrap that up, I don't know what Manchester Hardcore is going to be doing. Really, I don't know whether there's really much going to be going on in the future. I mean, like, it's just not, I don't see anything really happening. The last few shows I've been to have been good, but, you know, it's not like it used to be. Definitely not.
Right, yeah, I think I think it's going to bounce back because I think every scene has that dip, and then it eventually just kind of bounces.
It just needs people to put on shows. That's literally it. And you'll have a few shit ones, and then the third one will be sick, and the fourth one will be sick, and they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, like there's not been that many, so I've not really been to them. And then when there is some, I'm always fucking out of town.
It's
But
always weekdays as well, Manchester shows, I've
you
noticed.
know,
It
there
feels
was
like
the
it's
night
always
out.
a
Yeah,
weekday.
Night Out played. That was the last one I went to. I think anyway in March in Starangata, which was a decent turnout to be fair, but I think it was like a Thursday night or something. Might have been a Friday, but it was like 30, 40 people. I mean, as long as people mosh, that's all that fucking matters at the end of the day. You can't have just a crowd stood there. That's just like the worst. So, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I hope it bounces back too. Like we've got Starangata still, and that's always risk of closure because of the plans for the rail link thing, high speed rail link.
Oh
So
yeah.
like, we've got to fucking make the most of that venue because if that goes, then it is dead. I can't see a future because you can't just use Rebellion. It doesn't work well enough. You know, it's good for bigger gigs, but like if you want to put on local shows, it ain't happening.
Oh yeah. I
So,
think like a Rebellion's an awkward venue as it is because you've got that entire upstairs section
Yeah, that
that's
takes
like
up most of the
just half the
space.
venue that don't do fuck all for the venue. Like
yeah,
it's just
true that.
really weird, an odd layout.
Yeah. It used to be a bit smaller as well. I think knocked some walls out. It used to be like 350, and now apparently it's 450. So they must have knocked some walls out. I know it's changed a bit somehow, but I can't picture how. You know what I mean? Like every time I go there now, I try and think what it used to look like, and I just
I always
can't.
like walk up, I'm like, why the fuck is the merch section bigger than the actual crowd section? I'm
Yeah,
like,
no
come on now.
shit. This is what I mean. They need to sort of push it back, push those stairs back a bit, and make a bit more of a space there. But yeah, it is what it is, I suppose. But it's like if it is packed out and you know them stairs are full and you're behind the people behind the sound desk, you can't see shit. Like you're just hearing it. You can't fucking see anything. So it's a bit of a weird shaped venue. Yeah,
Oh
Definitely,
kind of
yeah.
man.
play out.
But yeah, like on Brad's point as a whole, like just not just the Manchester scene, but like what's probably like the biggest change you've seen in the hardcore scene, like since you first started being in bands, really?
It's better than ever now, really. Like especially worldwide. That's my take on it. I mean, since I've been into it, like I mean, I know that I just got out. I got into it when the glory days were just finishing 10 years ago. There was some fucking good times in UK hardcore then, and I sort of got into it that little bit late. I saw it like that show, that Rotting Out show. I saw that and I got it, and I was like, "Fuck, this is the sickest shit ever!" Like the old Outbreaks and stuff when they were in Sheffield, um, in Broomhall and stuff, but they were the glory days. It sort of, I remember it taking a dip around like 2015, 16, 17. Not too much of a dip, but it wasn't as like vibrant as it was. And then obviously after that was just fucking COVID, etc. like 2018, 19, 2020. So I do think now's the best time we might have had in hardcore worldwide. But yeah, I mean, UK hardcore is doing really well at the moment. There's a lot of shows going on here and there, and it just needs more bands though. Like, it just needs new bands, like which
Oh,
is what I love about the South. Like, there's a lot of Brighton new bands coming up, and Scotland always as well. Sheffield's doing all right at the moment. There's quite a lot of gigs going on, and a load of new bands popping up. So it just needs kids to fucking get in a room, innit?
Get up Spotify and get in the fucking pit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just get in a room. I mean, the thing is, I don't think there's many musicians these days. I think a lot of people get into it and they don't play an instrument, which is
yeah, no,
obviously
I've
sort of,
noticed that.
yeah. I
I've
think
noticed that.
there's a lot more people into it now that don't play instruments, but I don't know a lot of people can't just get into instruments. Like you can't just afford them. It's an expensive do these days, so you can't just start a band. But it does need them few guitarists, you know, like it used to be where there's like you've got a guitarist who's in six bands and a drummer that's in 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it needs. Just needs a few guys starting multiple bands and then yeah, creating small scenes. But the North's doing all right. Sheffield, Huddersfield, Leeds is always fucking doing well. So the future's bright, but yeah, I just think there needs to be a few more smaller bands that are like making waves like it used to. Because I just remember seeing bands like Survival, you know, like I wasn't at the first show, but I wasn't at the fucking, it wasn't far off, you know. I seen like the start of the band, and I just remember how fucking fast they blew up, and it all just takes local kids, you know what I mean, local shows and stuff. So you just got to take some initiative and try and not let it die. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I've definitely noticed like people getting into it and then like just not starting much because I've been in and out of like bands like 4 years now.
Mm.
And, like whenever I meet like someone new to like jam with or all like that, they're all always either my age or like way older than me. I've
Yeah,
never met anyone which like, oh, I'm like 19 or all like that.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I've never met anyone that is younger or anything. It just seems like people listen to it, but then they just kind of leave and
yeah.
just go, oh, like, yeah,
I
I
think,
couldn't do any better, so I'll just leave it.
yeah, I know what you mean, man. But it is weird. It did feel different at one point, like where they won't. I mean, I'm all for. Sorry, lads, one sec.
Yeah,
No
all
worries.
good.
For I love bands just starting DIY and doing demos, but I think these days it's so hard to do that. Like we discussed this quite a lot. It was a lot easier to release a demo a long time ago, which was basically just sounded like a piece of shit, but the tunes were good and it gets somewhere. And I think for some reason these days, I don't think it works as well. I don't know why, but I'm sort of a believer in taking your time now and writing the best material you can. If it takes you 2 years before you play a show or release your demo, you know what I mean? Write the best shit you can and just save up a tiny bit of money as much as you can to get a bit better production. Unless you've got like sick shit on your laptop, like all these plugins and stuff, and you know, a few mics and stuff, then do it on your own. But and this is what I'm saying. I'm all for the DIY shit. I love demos that sound like shit. I do. I love it. I think it's better than anything, but I just don't think people get it these days because they don't see as much of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the pressure is that the minute you put out like a demo, you're immediately going to be because it's all on streaming. Like you're immediately going to be judged
Yeah.
by like as if you're one of the bands that have got like a million streams on fucking Spotify as well.
100% because there's so many more people into it now. It's not. It's so vast, hardcore. Like it's 10 times bigger than it's ever been. I think in history, like it's fucking huge with turnstile and not loose and speed and shit. It's massive, and there's so many different people looking at you and finding you. And I don't think those people have heard that sort of caliber of recording or like quality before, and I think they just shrug it off and think, "What the fuck's this?" You know what I mean? Because
Oh yeah,
they haven't heard the earlier stuff where no one had any fucking money, and they started it off by literally doing, you know what I mean, starting small scenes and pushing something out just so people can enjoy it. But we used to, I suppose, people these days getting into it, they're used to hearing really high quality recordings.
Yeah, the
oh yeah.
bar's so much higher, isn't it now?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Definitely, the bar's just higher, and it's a lot harder for small bands to get anywhere. So, like I say, I'm all for DIY and just putting a demo out, but I don't think it works as well these days. I think you have to really kind of take it a lot more seriously because it's a lot bigger now. You know,
Yeah, no,
but I
absolutely.
wouldn't like to say competition either because there's no competition in music, especially fucking hardcore. But it's certainly like you've got you've got to compare to other people really and there's a standard, isn't there?
No, yeah, absolutely.
100%.
In like nowadays, then, so like talking about the state of hardcore in 2023, like
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of bands are like really pushing the sound. You've got Code Orange, you've got you guys, you've got like
yeah,
Jesus Piece, like this, like really like more abstract, I'd say, like metallic hardcore sound. Like, what do
yeah.
you think it means to be hardcore in 2023? Like, is it just the attitude,
It's
or
an
is it like
attitude,
how you
mate.
play? I think it is as well.
Straight
Yeah.
up. It's a mindset, it's an attitude, and it's just like you say. Um, you it's tough to explain, but you just know. Like you know when someone's into hardcore when you see them sometimes.
Mm.
You can just tell, you can feel it, sort of. Like it is just it's something in you. It's not, and like if you break it down to music as well, I mean, you have got such vast stuff these days. I'm just trying to think of examples. Even just Turnstile, man. Like, they're still a hardcore band.
Yeah.
They're a fucking rock band in the terms of like, if you were to go and just get into them from going to Rolling Loud or something, they just say, oh, it's just a rock band. But you know, it's the energy in it. And that's why they succeed so much, because it's a different energy than anyone's heard in rock music before, because it isn't rock music behind it, you know? I think that's what it is. And to me, it's always just been a mindset and an attitude. It doesn't matter what you sound like. Um, it's tough to explain, man.
No,
Really
I
is.
completely get it. I was like buzzing about the new Code Orange album that's just dropped as well. I was like, this just sounds fucking sick. Like it's so different. It's got so much like
Yeah.
different influences in there. I was like talking to like our group chat, and then when I met Dylan was like, oh, are they like a rock band now? And I was like, no, they're still fucking hardcore. Like they might sound different, but they've got that hardcore attitude still
Yeah.
and that
See,
vibe about them.
I see what he's saying too, but it's the main fact is no matter what, they're still no matter whether they sound like that or how they did on I Am King or Forever or the album after that, right? It's still going to bring people. It trickles down. This is a big thing I always say. It all trickles down to the rest of us. It's like a big. It's just like a. It's not like a pyramid, I suppose, but it feels like a big tree, and whoever's at the top of it, it all feeds down to the rest of us. So whoever, if you get into Code Orange, you're going to find out about Jesus Piece or us or whatever, you know, and Not Loose, and then you're going to find out about the smaller bands, and then you're going to find out about the older bands like Madball and Terror, you know, and then it all works the same way. No matter how different Code Orange are going to sound, they're still doing shows like they're doing that one this weekend, Code's World in America, like the record release thing. Like, look at the fucking lineup. It's just straight hardcore bands. Their
Literally.
influences, their mates now. They're never going to sell out, you know. Well, I do feel what he's saying. Like, are they a rock band now? And technically, yeah, in the eyes of people that don't look further than them. Like, if they see Code Orange and you know, like they're at fucking like Hellfest or Download or something, they watch them and they don't think anything more of it. They go, oh, they were all right. But if they get really into them, they're like, oh, what's other bands like this? They'll find all them other bands and they'll be like, hang on a minute, this is nothing like that. And then they'll go back to the last record that Code Orange released and then see the big picture. You know what I
Down
mean?
the
So,
rabbit hole in it.
yeah, defo, man. No pun intended.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a big believer in that all these bands are, no matter how much they're changing, they're still hardcore bands. They've still got the attitude, and it is just a mindset, and it'll never change. I'd never once consider any of these bands selling out, you know, because it's helped us do what we need to do as well. Like we wouldn't be, you know, like the stuff we're putting out now. I don't know if we would do if it weren't for bands like that, fucking paving the way to do what you please, you know. And that is hardcore in itself, doing what the fuck you want at the end of the day. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Do what you want, put exactly what you want out, and if people like it, then they like it, and it's working for everyone. Like hardcore's never been bigger, and that's
Yeah.
all down to all these bands doing what they're doing and you know changing the fucking ways. Really, like there's never been more diversity, you know, in sound. So
It's best time
yeah,
of life for music, in my opinion. It's what
I
I can
think
always
so,
say.
mate, as
Yeah.
well. But it's weird because I was under the impression that shit was going south up until like the last 2 years, just music across the board. And then over the last couple of years, I've heard some of the best albums I've ever heard in my life, you know. And it's like it doesn't go for metal either. It's like I'm a big fan. I'm a big like just rock fan, and it's like you know the Fontaines. Do you hear of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, great
That
band.
last album was one of the best albums I've ever fucking heard. And it's like I know you just like shit, man. Music's getting good again. It's like puts
Yeah.
faith into you, man. Really good.
Oh yeah, I feel like last few years there's been a significant drop in like albums I'm disappointed by.
Yeah,
Like there's it's very rare a band puts out a new album and I don't go, yeah, this is fucking sick. This
true that.
like
Yeah,
instantly, and I completely agree what you said about like hardcore being like an attitude, because I think that was like the biggest thing that I noticed when I first like started got into it as well. Like I noticed that it just felt different. like metal shows, I'd go, and it won't. It feels like everyone would be there to see, like to see the band, but they weren't really passionate about what was going on around them. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? In that scene, whereas like hardcore, it's like, nah, people come in to see the band, but they're also going to support the venue, like
Yeah.
support everything around it as well. And
100%.
that was the biggest impact I had.
Because that's the thing. For its whole existence, it's needed that to stay alive. Metal's been so commercial that there's always going to be money in it, and there's well not that much money, but there's always going to be money in it. There's always going to be labels pushing it, which is what's changed recently because hardcore's become a different thing now, and labels are pushing it. Labels are, signing bands like big labels, and but that's what I'm saying. Always in the past, hardcore has needed the people to be there. It's needed the bands to do what they do. It's needed the people to show up for it to survive, and that's it. It's all fed by everyone. Like everyone's responsible for hardcore's like survival at the end of the day. Whereas with metal, like you're always going to get that kid that finds Slipknot at 9 years old.
Yeah,
But, I
yeah.
mean, you're never going to find that. You're never going to have that kid that finds fucking Madball at 9 years old. You might do, very rare. You can do, but it's not. It doesn't make much sense when you say it like that, does it?
Yeah.
I think it
I
feeds
know, I
back into what
completely
you
get
said
it.
as well, like, with the trees trickling down. Like,
Yeah,
I think you get, like, especially in the last few years, like a lot of like metal infused hardcore, like, or like hardcore infused death metal, like me and Nathan always talk
yeah,
about, like Frozen Soul and like
yeah,
Celestial Sanctuary and shit like that. Like, there's all these bands, and I think, and even like you guys, you know what I mean? There's a lot of like metal influence in your albums, and I think
yeah.
like that's kind of inspiring, younger people to like, oh, I like this. What other hardcore is there? Or like,
That's it, man.
I think that helps a lot and why it's growing a
Definitely.
bit.
Well, that's what I'm saying about Code Orange, especially and Turnstile, and not loose for being so fucking heavy. It's like they don't want to change for anyone, and they won't do, and it's just worked perfect because it's their attitude. They're never going to sell out, and that's because they maintain that sort of code of ethics. And I don't think it's very easy to see. You know what I mean? And I think with those bands especially, they're just doing the right thing, man, and it's working out for everyone. And then like you say, it works with us as well. Like people find out about us, they find out about other UK hardcore bands, and it all trickles down. And it's been a fucking good few years, like for
Oh,
everyone
definitely.
involved. Like it's getting so good now, man. I just don't want anything to change, and I don't think it ever will. I think it's just going to keep on getting better. Like Turnstile will be headlining festivals in 3 years. Mark my words. I think Turnstile probably be. I can't say what festivals, but you see him on lineups now, and the second from headline, on like fucking Benny Kassim and shit. And I'm like,
Yeah, doing Jimmy Fallon and shit. Like, wow.
yeah,
For a
it's
hardcore band,
amazing.
mental.
It's fucking sick, man. I just
It's
don't.
that
Yeah,
Taco Bell advert as
Oh
well.
yeah.
I never in my life thought I'd see a
what's that?
hardcore.
Taco Bell.
Yeah, they've done a Taco Bell advert. It pops
Not
up on my
seen that.
fucking mate. It pops up on
Dude,
my YouTube. I thought I was
it's
tripping
sick.
for a second. I
That's
was like
fucking
watching
sick.
YouTube and it pops up. I'm like, that's fucking Turnstile.
That's fucking awesome, man. One sec, lads. I'm just gonna message my brother. One
No
sec.
Yeah,
worries, no
all
worries.
good.
Literally 2 seconds. He wanted me to go gym with him, but yeah, he closes at 7, so I'm not going. Uh, yeah, but yeah, man, I've got a lot of faith in it. I think it's just gonna get bigger and bigger, and it's weird to think that because you wonder how big can this get, but it's happening the same way that it happened in the 90s with bands like Hatebreed and stuff, and I'm trying to think of other examples, but it's like if you put it down to like Machine Head, technically they were a hardcore band. When they started, all these bands like Sepultura, all these fucking bands, it all had the same attitude. Like if you look at the Machine Head Dynamo set, like if you look at them moving around
100%.
that
Yeah.
stage, that ain't a fucking metal band.
Got
Like
suicidal
metal band,
tendencies as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tendencies and Biohazard, and all the 90s bands. This is reliving the 90s right in front of our eyes, really.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's the
brilliant.
best thing about it, man, I think.
So I want to talk about you. So what do you do in your spare time? What are your hobbies and interests?
Oh God, man. I so I've got I teach drums and work at a welding supplies warehouse. So couple of jobs. Um, Other than writing for the band, not really much to be honest. Like I've started playing skate a lot. That's pretty much what I've been doing recently, sort of just bashing skate three. So, but we're all quite simple people, to be honest. Like it's either working, doing stuff for the band, which is quite busy these days. We've all got something to do, or just writing. Like just writing riffs and see what we can come up with. It's fun. That's the main thing I enjoy personally, is just writing music. So yeah, but not honestly, man. Like hobby wise, fuck all, mate. Like like some of
I
the lads
imagine
are
a busy guy, you know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, some of the other lads are into footy and shit, but I I never have been. So it's just like yeah. In terms of hobbies, it's literally all we do is the band at the moment. We don't really have time. It's try and write other music that isn't for the band just for fun, but it that just turns into like, well, if I change it a bit like this, it could be a guilt trip song, So there's not really much else at the moment, but yeah, just working, teaching, and writing, I'd say.
That's pretty good, man. So we are sort of getting to the end point of the interview now. One way that we like to leave it is if you're in a zombie apocalypse and all you had was your bandmates, who would you be most reliant on and who would you be least reliant on and why?
Tough one. This is gonna fucking cause some shit, It's not good. This. There's different reasons, man.
It's always great asking this because, like, whatever what band we speak to, it's like we can sense the moral compass by this question.
This is tough, man. Oh God, it's tough because there's only four of us. If there was five, it'd be so much easier. But you're gonna piss each one off even more now because there's only four. Right, I'd have. Oh God, I'd take Jack in, but I think he loses his head too quick. Jay's got a bit of more of a calmer head sometimes than all of us. That's not just going for Jack. Sorry, Jack, but Jay's got a calmer head than so. Sam ain't coming. Sam ain't coming. I can't trust him with the fucking zombie apocalypse. So he's not coming. Bless you. Love you, mate. But sorry. He'll agree as well. He won't be good in the fucking zombie apocalypse. So I'd have to right, zombie apocalypse wise, I'm gonna have to say it's gonna fucking have to be Jack, to be honest. Because he drives. So he's a really guy. Out of Jack and Jay, he drives, so I'm gonna say him. But in all honesty, I reckon I'd want them all there, to be honest. But yeah, least and most probably Jack, and then sorry, Sam, but you ain't coming, mate. You're gonna have to get fed to the fucking zombies, I'm afraid, dude. But
there's a kind of guy just close the curtains and I can't be asked, mate.
Yeah,
back to bed.
Much. Just, I don't know, man. Yeah, fucking. He's always ill. That's the main thing. He's always ill, so he'd just be like, yeah,
liability of that. You know what I mean?
Well, the main thing is you won't be able to know whether he's infected or not. This is the big thing, because he's always got something wrong with him. So he'd be like, right, is he infected this time or is he not? Like, has he been outside? Has he been bit? So, but actually, if I'm going to say anyone that's the worst, it might actually be me. So I think if you asked any of the lads, they'd probably say I'm not going. So yeah, tough question though, man. It's a good one. You've got
good answer though. Good answer.
Yeah, you've got a good one though, bro. That's gonna fucking cause some rifts with bands like this.
Oh mate, I've always wanted to be a fly in the wall. I want to know how that next practice went. You know what I mean? I always want to be a fly in the wall after that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Nah, they'll piss themselves. That is a good one. That is, man. Really good one.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great. I love fucking seeing you guys at Bloodstock. 2022, yeah, that was a great fucking set.
Nice.
Like,
that set, man. It was one of the best we've ever played. So
Yeah,
nice.
incredible. And like Severance is a masterpiece in my opinion. Like I've had it on repeat all week. So yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
I hopefully see you guys play
Yeah,
Boom. Maybe
well,
come back to Leeds
yeah,
and we'll
what's
have a
it?
pint.
We'll have to, get you guys to a show. So it'll be good to meet you. So nice one, Fizz. Been a good time. Really enjoyed
Definitely,
myself.
man.
Nice
Same
one.
here, man. Same here.
Yeah, well, I'll meet up with you soon. If I'm next in Leeds, I'll give you a shout. I've seen on Instagram today. I'll give you a message.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be good.
Oh
Appreciate
yeah,
that.
definitely. Because I've seen you. I've definitely seen you at quite a few lead shows. I just
Yeah,
don't think we've ever like properly spoke.
yeah. Next time I see him, we'll get a beer. Therefore,
Definitely,
Do it.
definitely, man.
appreciate it, lads. Yeah, had a great
Awesome.
time. Cheers, to this boys. Nice
No
one.
Yeah.
worries. Thank you,
Take
man.
care, man.